Right. I'm going to cover a bunch of things, okay? So you can see for yourself. One thing I want to get this started is, and you might have heard this a million times, okay? Start doing minus the talking equals what you want to achieve. Start doing minus the talking, and it will help you achieve what you want to achieve, okay? Let me share with you a story, okay? And then I will get to this a bit more technical aspects, okay? Let me share with you a story. I might have shared this previously, but hey, imagine a 19-year-old kid walking into this country with no one around him, and 2 years later, you know, went through 20 plus jobs and almost became suicidal, right? Just imagine that for a second. 21, 22-year-old guy standing on a bridge trying to think, I'd rather take my life than live the life that I'm living. I'll let that sink in for a second. That was me. Okay. And the only way to resurrect yourself, Nav used the word resurrect yourself, was to just have your foot on action, as in proving yourself to yourself and getting the work done. From 2004 to 2014, that's 10 years, I ended up building a company that literally had 47 people working for the company. Okay? Sold that company in 2014. Okay? And the reason I was able to do that was purely desperation. There was no inspiration, it was desperation. Okay? Now, luckily, 11 years from that point, 2014 to 2025, 11 years onwards, I am exactly on the opposite side of the coin. Now it's inspiration rather than desperation. Okay? However, everything that I've learned has been just pure discipline. Now, I'll tell you what I mean by that. Your success and what your account reflects, let's say the financial health, your physical health, your emotional health, everything is a reflection of what you were doing when no one was watching you. I'll repeat that. Your bank account, that's your financial health, your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health is a direct reflection of what you were doing when no one was watching. I'll let that sink in. So now when you look at what you're doing in life, whatever stage you might be at, it's the smaller, more intricate decisions you take on second and minute basis, and what you do with that time is going to reflect in all the categories tomorrow. That's again your financial health, your physical health, your emotional and social well-being, your spiritual well-being. All of that is just pure reflection on what you do when literally no one is watching. Okay? It's when I look at myself and I'm generally an impulsive person, right? But when I walk into the kitchen, what I eat, when I have no time for gym and I still go to gym, right? That's what I did just now. I picked up the kids from school. I asked my missus to drop me off to the gym. I did my session, came back straight to this session. Okay. I walk into the gym and I'm going to cut this short. Okay. I'm going to go technical after this. But I walk into the gym and I can tell you, I can work out more beastie than most people you see in the gym. And I mean really beastie. Okay. For my size, I'm not going to go and compete with someone who's doubled my size. Okay. But for my size, I'm really beastie. Okay. So if you, I mean, just for example, I'm not comparing myself to anyone, but if you walked into the gym with me, it will blow your mind away to what I can do. Take the same thing and apply it in another context. I can do what I can do, and I'm not bragging, not just sharing the mindset you need to do to be able to achieve things in life. I am the same in the business space as well. Like when I focus, I get 3 days work done in a single day. Okay. When I focus, I'm listening to an audiobook at 1.5, 2 times the speed. Okay. When I'm taking trainings, I'm just not doing anything else but taking trainings in any of those categories. Taking time off and taking trainings. Okay. You really need to be obsessive and beastie when it comes to achieving things in life. When I say obsessive, I don't mean necessarily negatively obsessed, but more like a positive, healthy obsession. Okay? You're not going to achieve anything worthwhile in life if you're not obsessed and not beastie when it comes to actually doing what you need to do or what you need to achieve. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if you see where I'm coming from. Right? So, next, as in when you finish this session, right? And when you walk into the gym or when you go and do that brisk walk or whatever it is, right? Either in any of these categories, either it is your physical health, either it is your financial health, either it is your social emotional health, your spiritual health, and a whole bunch of other things in life, whatever that may be, you really need to go hard. I mean, really hard. Okay? Otherwise, there is about 8 billion people in the world like you and me. Either you like it or not. Okay? Right. That's your a little bit of motivation. Okay. I hope that little bit of what I just shared might sink in and might help you achieve and be more disciplined in life. Um, and remember, at the core, we are emotional beings. So when you're talking with people, remember that, you know, if something that you're going to say is going to hurt you, is going to hurt the other person as well. So just be careful when you talk to people. Or in fact, I always say you don't talk to people, you talk with people. Okay. So careful. Right. Now, technical stuff. Technical stuff. Anil, I can see you first in the list. If you were to boil down your one big challenge, what is that?
Um, I haven't thought about it, but yeah, basically, the leads themselves. Um, I'm more now, it's all boiling down to me focusing on residential leads. That means residential properties being converted to residential flats or private land residences. That's what it actually boiled down to because my commercial leads, um, I think I'm struggling to reach out to them. That's number one. And then they're not interested in speaking to me because they think I'm too small, maybe.
Mhm. Why don't we prepare a CV like a page with experience and share it with people as and when required. Okay. And we can do that. Remind me next week, we'll do that so we can prove and build our credibility with people. At the same time, the commercial leads actually shouldn't be very difficult because at the moment, PD is pretty easy, which means commercial to resi conversions are quite a decent gap in the market. So that really should be working.
When you say PD, you mean probability of
Permitted
default?
development.
Permitted development. Okay.
Yeah, so commercial to resi, in many cases, you don't have to go through a full application.
So I'm actually and partly ChatGPT actually helps and also Perplexity actually helps. When you said PD, basically I come from finance background and probability of default. So I look for commercial estates which have a debt and they're more likely to default on their debts. Okay, they are ideal candidates. So you somehow calculate from their bank from their returns and all. You calculate their probability of default, and then you definitely sure that they're going to actually default on their debts. They're ideal candidates. So it's called PD, by the way. Those are the candidates I'm actually targeting. But sometimes those businesses don't own the land as well. They actually lease out. And to find out who actually owns the land, you got to pay a lot of money.
No, so
But
let me share with you. You're looking at it from a very narrow perspective,
yeah,
Anil. So first of all, that's just a one of million factors that might need to be filtered out for you to find commercial properties. But that's just only a one factor. Commercial to resi conversions are on your spreadsheet.
yeah. That's what. So basically, I went to those properties. They are in a very large industrial estate, and uh, in that you need to actually find what is the most ideal to actually respond, because some of them are really
No,
doing good.
no, 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 no. It's not about you thinking who is going to ideally respond. You reach out to everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So basically, I'm reaching out to them. They're in a large industrial estate, so I'm actually reaching out to them to say, this is what it is, and blah blah. I'm actually sending emails, posting letters. So the first barrier is actually reaching to the decision makers. I'm trying to reach out to them. I've never had any chat. The second level is, as I said, I look at their statements as well. Uh, yeah, but more likely, that's what I'm trying to do.
No,
Third
I
is
think
credibility.
the easy way is there's three or four things that I would do to reach out to these people. Okay, one is practically you have the leads, go and reach out. You speak with them on site. If you find them, great. If you don't, just leave your card. Second is make sure that your online portfolio is it says what you
Correct.
do. So when they
That's what.
check your profile, that they are able to resonate, as in, are you the right person to reach out to? Okay.
Exactly. So that's the plan I have. It requires a bit of investment from my side. Uh,
Third,
that's the plan I have. That's the plan I have. So basically,
third,
it has to be an online presence, and it has to be a very strong.
yes.
I always remember the Wolf movie where, uh, what is that? Oakmont, whatever he actually watched that movie because it's a perception, and today's world is all about
There's no reality,
perception.
it's all perception. Yeah. There's no
Yeah.
reality, it's all perception. So remember, it's not just that, but also making sure you use hashtags in your favor. That means if you're in high Wickham or in certain postcodes, that you are using those hashtags to attract those people. Okay. The number of time people come to me and say, well, I'm not able to generate leads. I always think, well, you don't even know the basics of generating leads, right? First, you need to know how much money can you spend on being able to generate a lead. Well, you can always reverse engineer it, which takes a long time, as in lifetime value of your customer or whatever, and then you work it out backwards, reverse engineering. But that's not the stage you're at. So initially, you say, well, I can spend maybe 100 quid, 200 quid to generate a lead, and then you take that resources and money and you invest it. So, for example, you could be running paid ads, you could be posting content online, you could be knocking doors, you could be writing letters. And then it's a process of waiting 6 to 12 months initially to see how it's going to go in your favor. That is something you need to test and keep optimizing every step of the way in your business journey. I still do it. I still optimize and keep optimizing every day. I still test leads. I still run multiple paid ads. All of that happens all the time behind the scene. Okay. So the question is, are you doing that consistently? And do you have the patience to wait for these leads? Because remember, just because you're ready to buy doesn't mean someone is ready to sell. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just gotta have patience to wait to nurture that really lead to a point where they're ready to sell. What I mean by that is, I've had times when someone has called me 5 years later after the first introduction, and I've had times someone has reached out to me 20 years later. So I knew someone 20 years ago. The guy saved my number. He reached out to me 20 years later to help him close a finance deal. Okay. Now, business, I wish was a game of 1 or 2 months. It's not, right? So it's all about consistently putting effort in, running paid ads, doing your hashtags, posting content regularly, posting letters regularly, knocking doors regularly. That is the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the
So that
same
brand
time,
building is what I'm actually trying to invest now, because it does take time.
it does take.
That is what I've realized. That is what I've realized, because they're
It
not.
does take.
I, I, I'm not gaining any traction just because of that credibility. I've used multiple names, but I think I need that credibility now,
Okay,
and
so
that's what
so
I'm trying
why
to
don't
build.
you why don't you prepare like a report of how does your all profiles look like and what do they need to look like to be able to start making those small changes?
So I already have plans on my mind. So I'm gonna work on that, and you will see probably slowly, you'll actually see my company name changing and all this stuff, and then a website, and then I'm actually adding a few projects on there, which I have discussed with some builders, developers, and all.
Yeah.
I'm actually saying that you will be on my page. I'm doing that. For past 2 weeks, I've been actually meeting people. I'm actually doing that. That actually helps.
Okay.
Simply saying, yeah, I'm from Penn, or I'm actually, there's no offense,
No, no, of
but
course not.
we need to look like we are developers, like other people who are already reaching out to them.
Mm.
Lastly, and not the least, you won't believe, I got to a residential property last week. I spoke to the guy, and just opposite, I saw apartments being built. So I spoke to the guy on the opposite side, on the residence. He said, "Look, the guy who's actually building the apartments is already reached out to me. It is from our lead sheets, basically. So it was a
Ah,
very
okay,
good
okay.
lead. It was a very good lead, but he said he already reached out to me. I'm in a what is that? I'm in a proposition with him. That's what he said. Maybe it's an option. I'm in a proposition with him. I said fine, but yeah, there are developers. There's a massive fierce competition there. We need to look more mid-sized, homely. People can talk to. We have good options for them, and we have good projects. That's the theme. That's the theme.
Okay. Damir, you've asked a question. Can you piggy bank? The answer is yes. The question is, are you putting the work in to be able to piggy bank in the first place? Right? So to be able to piggy bank behind what PN is all about, you need to be actively networking to be able to do that. I'll give you an example. I have at least probably over 100 active buyers in our database, which means that if you wanted to, let's say, source a deal, I could easily sell it for you but you need to be able to go and find the deal from the lease sheet. If you don't put the work in, then that can't be piggy banked. Second, if someone is looking for funding, introduce them to me. Let's say that the commission is very conservative, £1,000, you'll make 500. Now, not a lot of money, but for an introduction, which may lead to closing that business, £500 is decent money. Okay, and I'm being very conservative. One of the deals that we closed where one of the referral members ended up with nearly £13,000 in referral fee, that can happen as well. So piggy banking on what we already have only works when you are putting some work in behind the scene. Okay. One of the cases that happened, I think it was like a couple of years ago, where someone recommended a finance case. We ended up closing it. The commission was £14,000. I shared £7,000 out of that with another member. And that again happens when you make introductions, when you are networking, when you're bringing negotiating deals on the ground. Yes, there's lots of things that you can piggy bank on, but you need to be very, very active. I hope that answers your question, Damir. Okay.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Basically, I wanted to actually touch on Anil's question, because when you go out to present yourself, then you have already PN group successes. This I want to say, you know.
I can share that with you. Yeah, I can share.
Yeah, exactly,
page with
exactly.
You.
So that was the idea.
No, Damir, I'm actually using pen now. I'm not using my own brand. I'm actually using pen now.
Yeah. So basically with that should be better kind of success rate, I would expect, no?
Yeah.
Or it's not still.
Look, I have not had anyone refuse talking to me based on lack of experience. Never. I've never had anyone deny talking to me in the last 20 years, as at least I can think of. Not 20, maybe, nearly 20. The last time I was refused in a meeting was 2005. Since then, I've not been refused in a meeting based on my experience. So if I was to share my experience, it was actually used to be on my personal website, which I actually removed from Google. This was a couple of months ago, because it was not really necessary. But it was all in there about my experience. But I'm happy to share that with you, so that might help you. That will help you, Anil, to build credibility. Okay. In fact, when I walked into the last deal, the Slough deal where I was negotiating, the first thing I did was share my experience. So I said immediately, and I did it very quickly within like a couple of minutes, where I said, look, I manage, four commercial properties, 3 being hotels, 1 being a block of holiday let flats. I have done X number of developments and so on and so forth. One of the last ones that we did was 8 units in Wembley. That was a 4.2 million GDV project. After that, we did another one, which was besides it was a planning gain deal where we ended up getting planning permission for 8 units. And I've done multiple BRR deals, and I've been a buy-to-let portfolio landlord since 2003. Took me less than 2 minutes to explain, and after that, I've not had the guy ask me about my experience. Okay. So when you tell them that you manage commercial properties, hotels, holiday let flats, you've done developments, you've done BRR projects, you've done buy-to-let. Literally, I'm also involved in a commercial project, which is a commercial to resi in Hammersmith, 3 units. I shared that as well. So when you start doing that, they start thinking, okay, well, the guy knows what he's talking about. The commercial project that I'm involved in, this is in Hammersmith, 3 units, commercial to resi.
Is that all on your website now, Jack? I didn't see it.
That's why I said, if you ask me, I can put it up. My personal website was taken off the Google 2 months ago. So that was all on that. Now on PN, I don't have that page. So thank you for the session, because it reminds me to put it on.
Please, please.
Yeah, but I saw it recently.
When did I our development projects there. There should be a link, and then I can
I'm
share
going
that
to do
link.
that. So just give me one sec. I
Yeah,
actually have
that was good with the hotels. I saw it the other day. I don't know, maybe a week ago.
Yeah, there's an
This
asset
was taken
management
down.
page. So there is an asset management page. Yes.
Ah,
Yep.
okay.
But you could make this. I mean, just quickly on you, you know, one of the reason I'm here with Jack is a financial source. We don't have to go anywhere. So if you bring a project like even like HMO or something, there's finances backing you, and that's all you need to do as a starting point. Just get a buy to let or HMO and go to Jack, and it'll work like that. And then you get into then you can get into other things like planning deals as well as you go on. I think just get or even get a house that needs an extension. They'll put money on it, and not yourself with somebody, and Jack will finance that, and you build up
Also
credibility on
remember,
that.
yeah, thank you, Nav, for that. The first thing when I introduce myself is, I'm a qualified financial advisor. So and I always write besides it that I don't do regulated stuff anymore. But that is my forte. That's my strength, finance. So for the right deal, we can bring finance, not just debt finance. We can bring equity finance as well, depending on how profitable the deal might be. That's my forte, guys. That's what I do for a living. Okay, so yeah. So when I'm sharing this again, I've already written that, so there'll be a page very soon on PN that you'll be able to share. Also, we are creating the internal CRM for franchisees, so you will have your own special login details. You'll be able to log in, create your deal flow, and then we'll be able to track the deal flow that you're bringing and working on to be able to progress that deal. So that's coming as well. And then if you're in the space of short-term let, that we are also bringing a PMS, which is property management software, that as a franchisee you will have access to. Again, all of this is all in the pipeline. The tech team has already been instructed. They're working on it. This is a process of 6 to 12 months. Unfortunately, I can't take it any faster. That's already in the pipeline. But yeah, so the page for the experience as well, it'll be on my on our website very soon. That shouldn't take very long. That should probably be done in a couple of weeks' time. Okay. Right, guys. Moro, if I was to ask you what's your one big challenge, would you be able to tell me?
Yes. The biggest challenge is finance. For example, let's say, I mean, I get lots of deals coming in. I know which one to go with. I got some good ones at the moment, which one of them I think I've spoken to you about a few weeks ago, Jack. And there's another classic one coming as well. But it's all the initial finance that I get pissed off with. Like, what if you want to do what's it called? The option agreement. And and it has to lead on to the next stage of lawyers and everything else and solicitors
Shall I
trying to get
share
that.
something with you, Nav?
So,
Shall I share something with you? Let me
yeah.
share something with you. Finance is absolutely never the biggest problem, and I'll tell you why. It's the right deal that's the challenge, not the money.
Okay.
I can bring investors, I can bring debt, I can bring equity, I can bring the money for the right deal. 99.9% of the times, it's because the deal does not stack up. Not because there's not money enough out there. Okay? Money can be raised for the right deal. I'll give you an example now. If let's say you were sitting on 100 million and I brought you the right deal, that means I'm going to double your money in the next 24 months. That's 50% return on money invested. Would you say yes or no?
Of course, yes.
There is loads of money out there. There is
Yeah,
just
but there's
not.
only one source, Jack. That's what I like. So I understand that. I wouldn't
It's
pussyfoot
never
around
ever.
elsewhere.
It's never ever money, guys. Try to understand the game. It's never ever money. It's always the right deal. I had times when I've been approached by franchisees. They've shared a deal with me. I've taken it to a couple of investors and they've refused because It's major risk mitigation is not done. You need to be able to mitigate major risks. You cannot present me a deal with stacks, great, but it has risks. We can manage minor risks within a development deal, which is a part and parcel of the game. But when you have major risks integrated into a deal, investors are not going to say yes, okay? Because a major risk means that the deal can fall through, or the deal may not get planning, or there may be planning issues, or there may be other structural issues, or whatever that might be. It's always, guys, the deal, almost never the money. So focus on getting the right deal on the table. Money is not that difficult, okay? And whenever I look at deals, if you are working on deals that are on market, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waste of time.
It's
The greedy
always
sharks.
marked deals that are direct to landlord that may be profitable. And I'm using the word maybe, depending on what kind of mindset the landlord is in. That means if the landlord is thinking, well, property is, let's say, worth £1 million, the landlord thinks it's worth 1.5 million, you're not going to make a profit. Okay, the guy is living in la la land, and he's not going to let you make a profit. But if you meet a landlord that's reasonable, that means the property is worth £1 million, maybe he thinks it's 1.05 million. We can manage that expectation, but you're not going to manage an expectation of property worth being £1 million and the guy thinks it's worth 1.5. You can't deal with people like that. Okay, so realistic expectations from the landlords, we can deal with 50, 100 grand up and down, and then we can go from there. Like I said, it's always the deal and almost never the money. Okay.
One thing I understood now that is
I can't. The media you're breaking. The media you're breaking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, can you hear me now?
No.
Hello?
Why don't you come in a better coverage area till then? I'll ask Moro. Moro, any questions?
No. Can you hear me, Jack?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. No questions, Jack. Just thank you. Just glad to be listening. As of now, Jack, no questions.
Right, guys. I want to share something with you, okay? Because sometimes it may come across when I'm sharing. Everything that I say, I'm saying with a lot of experience and humility. Okay? There's no ego in it. And the reason I'm able to share all of this with you is because I've done so much work on ground that is unbelievable. When I look at deals, that they're not able to see basics, that there is problems with the deal. And then they always think, oh, well, it's the money that's the problem. Money is not the problem. It's you not being able to see through the deal. It's you being not able to understand that there are major risks with the deal. It's you not being able to remember the job of a developer, investor, is to be able to coordinate things, right? The only way you can coordinate things is, that means getting the solicitor in place, getting the investor in place, getting the builder in place, getting the architect in place, getting the planning consultant in place, and having all of these people. Yeah. Getting all of these in place is the job of the investor developer. Likewise, when you're running short-term accommodation, either it's a hotel or a block that you're managing for holiday rental, it's your job to coordinate first, find the deal, then go find the money. Then once you've signed up the deal, that you find someone who's going to help you set up, or you learn to set it up yourself online. You learn to do its marketing, you learn to do its sales, you learn to look after all the operations, you learn to look after sales stuff as well. It's very similar to running any business. Either you're a developer, investor, running a short-term rental, doesn't really matter. It still requires all the components. And then your job as an investor, developer, business owner, whatever you want to call it, is to be able to coordinate all of this. And unless you cannot learn how to coordinate all of this, you're not going to make a lot of money. Remember, even when you look at hotel deals or when you look at block deals that you will manage, you still need to learn to be able to see through the deal and say, well, is it a profitable deal or not? And if you cannot see through the deal, you're not going to be able to make a profit. That means even if you, let's say, see a deal, oh, I really like the deal, and you say, well, I want to buy this deal. Well, if it's not profitable, no one is going to give you the money. But if it is a profitable deal, money is there. There is no shortage of money, guys. We live in a capitalistic world. There's absolutely no shortage of money. The shortage of money is just in the mind when you cannot see through the deal, when you cannot see where the profits are. Okay? And I'm sharing this doing thousands of finance cases. And I'm looking at development deals, land deals, I'm looking at commercial deals, I'm looking at retail deals, I'm looking at hotels. And every time when I look at a deal, and I'm always thinking, man, you just cannot see through the deal. Is it going to be profitable or not? You just are not able to see through that. When you take that deal, when you go to someone like Dragon's Den, and when you see people getting refused, it's the same people who cannot see through the deal, cannot see through the business idea is going to be profitable or not. Okay? And they don't raise money. The ones who do end up raising money are the ones who are able to see if there's profits in the business model, in the deal. Does that make sense? Please raise your hand if you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay? So it's almost always the deal, the business model you're working on. Almost never ever the money, guys. When I am saying I'm creating a CRM, I'm creating a PMS, I'm doing this deal, and I'm trying to do that deal, I promise you guys, the main task of my major task is to be able to see through that. Am I going to lose money? Am I going to break even, or am I going to make a profit? If I break even, I'm always happy. If I make a profit, I'm over the moon. In business, if someone says they've never had a deal they've lost money on, they're literally lying to your face. The number of times I look at something and I go and invest a little bit of money, end up making no money on it, unbelievable. I'm trying lots of different things, different paid ads, different people I hire, they don't work out. Look at a deal that may or may not work out. I'm very, very conscious with property deals, because if you get one wrong, you could lose a lot of money. So very, very conscious. But you do need to be able to see through deals, see through people, see through strategic ways of looking at your positioning of your service or your product. I hope that made sense.
Jack, that makes perfect sense.
Ahmed, any questions?
No questions. I think earlier you're asking what is the biggest challenge. I don't know if you meant to ask that from everybody but
yes, everybody.
My biggest challenge, or I think that I got better clarity on the last session that we had, and that was to really just simplify and really just focus on the two strategies, the block management and the planning gain. And I think that was where my challenge was I was getting a little bit too distracted with a lot of things. So now with that clarity, I still now need to put in the steps, to, as you're saying, to have, the right platforms and the portfolio and the profile to basically fit what I'm selling.
Yes.
So as opposed to being like I'm saying that I'm selling a car, but behind me you see a shop with bikes. So
yes.
So that was my challenge. But I think now my challenge is to just get everything in line and set up
put together
streamline
and
the
get
processes.
going. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Guys, let me share with you something. Okay, it's so important, guys. So super important. Okay, you got to have such a strong bias towards action that when someone looks at you, they start thinking, how the hell do you do that? I will repeat. You need to have such strong bias towards action. When someone looks at you, they start thinking, how the hell do you do so much work? How come you still negotiate deals, find deals, negotiate deals, do deals, close deals, still create content, still raising funding? How do you do that at such a fast pace? That's how much bias towards action you need to have. If someone says, I can make 20 calls a day, you should be making 200 calls a day. If, let's say, someone says, I can post 5 pieces of content, you say, well, you know what? I will find a way to post 50. Really strong bias towards action, guys. Action that not just reaps rewards, as in brings you money, but it also helps you keep optimizing and learning. Because the faster you implement, the faster you can remove stuff that doesn't work and then focus on what actually really works. Does that make sense? But if you're implementing really slow, the same thing can take you 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Something I may only do it in 2 months. Okay? So again, it's not comparing. It's more about contextually helping you that it needs to be really strong bias towards action. Like you should be calling me and saying, well, Jack, you know what? I spoke with 100 landlords and I've negotiated 3 deals. Here are the 3 deals. Let's close them. Okay? And I did that in a period of a month. Okay? That shouldn't be rocket science speaking with 100 landlords in 30 days. That's like 3.3 landlords a day. I have had times when I've picked up the phone and I've spoken with literally 50, 60 people a day. Okay? Even right now, like literally one full-time virtual assistant doing networking, one full-time virtual assistant, well, not one, but 2 now, looking after all the systems of the hotels and short terms, right? We have 1 supervisor. We have another person doing due diligence on deals. We have 7 on-ground staff members looking after operations. I am sitting looking after all the monies, the compliance side of things, the legal side of things, looking at deals, closing the deals, negotiating deals, closing deals. Really, really strong bias towards action, guys. I was never here. I remember looking at my life when I was like 18, 19 years old, when my dad was running a small business. I was looking at it thinking, well, if we pull out of the business doesn't exist, right? And then being able to get to a point when you pull yourself out of the business and the business still runs without you. Okay? That's how you need to think. That's how you need to go. But really, really strong bias towards action, as in terms of creating pipeline for your deals, bringing the money for the right deals, either using me or using your own contacts, and then closing deals. Like literally, nothing is going to bring you money unless you close deals, right? With all the knowledge and information available, ChatGPT, Google, Grok, Perplexity, and God knows a million other tools that you have, there's no shortage of knowledge. Here is why people don't succeed, because they don't take enough action. They just do not take enough action. Okay? They're not standing there and calling 100 landlords a day. And those who do and keep improving and optimizing their pitch, they are the winners. That's today's session, guys.